See, men are very, we compartmentalize. So when we are in work mode, we don't really want to be bothered with anything else. Like we're in that mode. Women can toggle between these things very easily. It also makes them better at multitasking, doing multiple things at the same time. It widens their focus. We're better at single tasks. There's studies that show that when household chores are divided between the man and the man will typically do more specific things. That's a one-time thing, like fix this, paint that, and then it's done. Whereas women do things that are more repeatable, that you'll have to do again soon enough. They can also spread themselves a lot thinner and do a lot more things, multitask, widen their focus. They're so much better at it.
Welcome to my Breakthrough Podcast. Today I have a very special guest. His name is Spidey. You might know him as a very well-known hypnotist or mentalist. But today we're not really going to dive too much into hypnosis for entertainment or mentalism. As a matter of fact, we're going to dive deeper into how to really influence and persuade people, but not at a lower level. I mean at the highest levels. Now you're looking at two people who have not just talked about doing it, but have done it. As a matter of fact, most of the stuff we've probably done we're not going to put on camera. However, we're going to have a candid conversation. You guys get to listen in. And if anything, this is a conversation a version of me 5 years ago would have dreamt of having. So, Spidey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Super excited to be here.
Even though I'm actually in Spidey's condo in Florida.
Well, you're welcoming to the show. I'm welcoming you to the condo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, kind of where you got started, what makes you an expert in any of this?
I don't think I'm an expert in any of this. Next question, please. I'm kidding.
Okay.
No, expert is a term I have a hard time with because what's the benchmark? How do we know if we're an expert? I'm a passionate student of this and I have been for a long time. So as a result, I think I have some things to teach. It all started for me with magic. So, as a teenager, I got super passionate about magic tricks. And then eventually, as I was completing my degree in sociology with a minor in psychology, I noticed that even with magic, I was more passionate about this. So when you do a magic trick, you see the reality of people. Because for one split second, their brain just shuts off and you get the most real version of them. And I noticed that it was that connection that I loved more so than the tricks. So I got more into mentalism, which is a lot of people, and we're going to talk about this, but a lot of people misunderstand what mentalism is. They think mentalism is being able to read minds. It's not. It's magic tricks just presented and packaged differently, but it's as much trickery. So I got into that mentalism because it really allows people to think that we're connecting. And then eventually I realized I have a problem with that because it's a false narrative. I wanted to sell something real. So I got into hypnosis and behavior analysis and persuasion, all the real things that mentalists pretend they could do because I was sick of just selling a false narrative. So that's where I got really into all that real psychology stuff, and I've been obsessed since.
It's so funny you mention it because you started off in magic and mentalism. I started off in hypnosis and behavioral analysis because I thought that mentalism was that. I didn't know it was a trick. I thought that's actually how I got so good. I got so good because I thought all these things were possible. So I said, wow, how are these people so good at this? And
yeah, that's what's so funny because when we first met, we were talking and you were telling me like, oh dude, yeah, I went out and tried this thing you did. And I'm like, but Marcel, that's a trick. That's a mentalism trick. You're not supposed to go out and do that. But you were going out and actually getting results, doing something that was like, well, not fake, but trickery based. And I'm like, that's not supposed to work the way you're getting it to work.
And after we spoke, I realized I'm a lot better at this than I thought.
Right, absolutely. Because and that's the part about mentalism that I have a real big problem with is that your spectator leaves with a false narrative. They go into, no, I know someone who could read body language and tell you what color you're thinking or what your birthday is. No, we can't. That's based in trickery. And I hate that.
It makes sense. And if I were to look at this, I mean, I guess from another lens, right? We don't just look at it from magic or mentalism. I think most people struggle with this, right? You go on a date with someone, you hire an employee, you get a business partner, or just friends. And you're convinced that they are a certain way. And then they stab you in the back, or over time, that version of them starts to fade. Or, at the beginning, there might be some red flags, but you look over them. And then you end up seeing that you just wasted all this time, all this trust, all these secrets, all this money, pouring it into somebody that isn't who you actually thought they were. And I think, if anything, at the end of this podcast, I want people to get some clear tools on how to really know who somebody is. I think a lot of people portray themselves a certain way. And how do we see past the mask? How do we dive deeper into, this is what the person is. This is what they actually are going to do. And is this person compatible in my life.
There are great ways to do that. And also, I think one of the first steps we could take in that direction is to understand the sunk cost fallacy. To understand the sunk cost fallacy. Sorry, a bit of a tongue twister there. And to understand, there was a point in my life where I said, the moment you realize that you've been wasting your time on something that's just not going to get better, you cut your losses immediately. And this can apply to so many things: business endeavors, relationships, new projects. The moment you realize that you're not quite going to get to where you want to get with this, so many people fall into the bad habit of saying, no, this is different. How many times have we heard this? When people come to us and they go, when you say something, you go, listen to me. I know girls like this. I know guys like this. You're wasting your time. They're chaining you along. And the person goes, no, you don't know her. She's different. You don't know him. He's different. No. You don't know him. You don't know her. I know this. Yeah. And I know it's coming off as arrogant, but it's not meant to be come off as arrogant. It's like, please listen to me. You're too close to see that you're wasting your time on this.
You're too close to the trees to see the forest, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's just happened to me. You came with me, actually. First time we hung out in person was in the Bahamas, 6-7 months ago.
Oh, we're talking about this?
Yeah. And I flew out.
Okay.
I flew out a girl, and I liked her, and sunk cost bias, and I ended up spending 4 months.
Okay, to be fair, in that situation though, there was enough redeeming factors for me to not be like, dude, you're wasting your time. We never said that.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, there's enough to work with here to where there is, but sometimes you see it like someone's really trying to impress their boss.
Yeah.
And you just go, why? You need to be this guy's employer. You know what I mean? And what do you do? You see someone really skilled, stuck in a dead job, and they're really working hard to impress their boss. And you go, what are you doing? And they go, I really have to impress them because then I'll get a raise. I go, yeah, but that raise is still beneath you. It's just sunk cost. They're stuck to an outcome that is beneath them, and they're trying so hard only because their stubbornness doesn't allow them to go, I'm going to abandon that goal and move the goalpost and go for something better for myself.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we both have this in common. We both start in our respective careers, me with performance, you with coaching or changing people's lives, which I think you do better than anyone I know, by the way. And the reason for that is when we started, limits didn't even dawn on us. I would go to big corporate shows and sell my show. And were there other mentalists better suited for that gig than me? Yes. Were there mentalists at the time that had better shows than me? Yes. But I didn't care. It didn't stop me. I was like, I'm going to entertain the hell out of you guys. It's what I do. My show was rusty at the time. I'm sure if I saw it now, I'd cringe. But you know what I mean? It's like you didn't know what you were doing, but you figured it out as you went along.
Yeah.
And that's fine, by the way. No one expects you to have all the answers when you're starting off in any department.
I think the biggest thing, if you're listening to this is my advice to you. You'll learn more, and I'll give you a quick example. When I first started learning hypnosis, so I just lost one of my dogs. His name's Da Vinci. He passed away when it was October 1st, 2017. I just had my first seminar a few months before. He passed away, and I decided I'm going to have my second seminar. And I said at this seminar, I'm going to be able to speak for at least 3 hours, and I'm going to get really good at hypnosis. Now, at the time, I couldn't even hypnotize somebody. I was reading off a script, and it wouldn't even get them in, which I think is so funny. And now thousands of people later I've hypnotized. It's ridiculous to think that I couldn't do it. And I kept going up to people. I remember I'd go up to my friends, and I'd try and I saw these rapid inductions or shock inductions, and I would try to hypnotize my friends, and it wouldn't work.
Sorry to cut you off. The worst person you could practice on is your friends. But go
ahead. I know. And at the time, no one's going in. I'd go up to random people at the mall. Every day I was obsessed. I would sleep 4 hours a night. I'd watch videos. I'd try and be like, what are they doing? What are they saying? I would try and replicate the exact body language. And they're still not going in. I realized, wait, there's context missing here. So I'm at UCLA, and this is about a week and a half in, and finally I hypnotize this girl. She goes in, and I'm like, oh, it clicked. It's also about the suggestions I give before the induction that are very important, the framing of it. And then after that, I got really good. I made this girl forget her name, and then all of a sudden I was making people forget their name, they're stuck. And then finally, 3 weeks into this, that's a week and a half, another week and a half goes by, and I've been doing this hours a day. So I'm getting tons of experience in days, literally. Like probably what people get in years, I was getting in days, because I was just doing this nonstop, and things were clicking and coming together for me, and all these videos started to make sense, and I'd watch it, I'm like, wait, this guy's not even that good, he's doing unnecessary things. And I'm promoting my seminar, I'm at Pierce College, which is where I had my second seminar, and people are walking by, and finally I get this guy who's down to volunteer to be hypnotized, and I hypnotize him, and I create a hypno gun. So every time I shoot this guy, he goes back into hypnosis 1,000 times deeper. And 3 of his friends come, these really big football players, And they come by and they're like, oh my God, is he hypnotized? I'm like, yeah, you guys want to be hypnotized? They're like, no. And I'm like, okay, I won't, but let me show you guys something cool. So I'm like, put your hands up, and I just go sleep. And they all go into a somnambulistic state instantly. And I was like, when you open your eyes, I have a hypno gun and I shoot you, you go back in 1,000 times deeper. Now they're all sitting down.
Sorry to cut you off again. Athletes like that are usually really good because they're used to taking sort of direction from the coach.
Yeah, from the coach, exactly.
And going into like almost a hypnotic state to where they just register, because he's on the sidelines yelling at them, and like they hear it, they register that over the sound of the crowd. So they get very good at like focusing in on
very good at focusing. Yeah. Plus, they're, if there's pain or their endurance.
Absolutely.
So I knock them out, and that's when I realized, right? There's this misconception, and sorry to burst anyone's bubble. You hear hypnotists say you can't hypnotize someone who doesn't want to be hypnotized.
Oh, you can.
Oh, not only you can. I found that out a week and a half into actually being able to hypnotize people.
Oh yeah.
A week and a half I tried to do it, didn't work. Finally, a week and a half I'm actually getting really good, and I just knocked these three people out. And then I'm hypnotizing.
So it's not so much about. Sorry to cut you off again. I think what's important to note is you can hypnotize somebody who doesn't really believe in it as long as they give it a fair shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the wording is like, I do agree that you can't hypnotize somebody who doesn't want to be, if they're sitting there and they're going, no, listening to you. But as long as they're willing to give it a fair shot, whether they believe in it or not, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I'll put it this way. I've found that you can even do it when they don't want to give it a fair shot. It just depends on how you frame it. Like if they don't know it's happening, you can do it, right? And that's where I started to get really surprised with it. So I hypnotized them. They're all there kind of, I'm just doing this show, and people are like, whoa, what is the seminar? They're signing up for the seminar right there because I'm hypnotizing them. I'm like, guys, look how quickly you can be confident. You're confident. I'm just doing all this stuff to these guys. And one of their fifth friend came looking for them, and they're like, hey, and he was kind of upset. And they were in a suggestible state, so they started getting upset. And actually, all four of them were actually coming at me to like hit me, like get us out of this state. And I didn't know what to do. So I just go, brrr, and they all collapse and fall back into
like a hypno Jedi ninja.
Yeah, and I saw that, and I covered my mouth, and I said, oh my goodness, this is dangerous. Like that's when it clicked for me that this needs to be, I need to be responsible here, right? Because I was 19, I didn't know anything about it, and I'm just kind of pushing the boundaries, and I realized, oh my God, within a week and a half, I found the power behind this. And I started using it to help people, and I really, really am good at this. The question now lied for me was, well, what is it? What is hypnosis, right? I mean, I'm not sure if you've had this question, but like, is it really a thing? Are they just playing along? And I'm like, well, clearly they weren't playing along here because they didn't want to be in it, but maybe they're just super, suggestible, and they just believed in the power of it. These guys saw their friends, so I was skeptical. So then I became, for the next 2 years, obsessed with trying to figure out how to hypnotize people who don't know I'm hypnotizing them, a random person at the mall or anything like that. And, I was obviously not that good at it. And then I got really good at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's something where the ratio is going to be lower, in my opinion, than if the person knows and is willing and is ready and is in the right mindset.
I wouldn't say lower, I'd say harder.
The ratio is harder?
Like, you can still do it to everyone. And that's what I found. I can get anybody in. As long as it's like, okay, some people will follow me faster. Like if I'm leading them into trance, some will follow faster, some will follow slower. Some, for example, if someone's...
I would debate that you can get everyone in. You can get everyone in to a certain degree, but I would argue that you cannot covertly, anyways, in my experience, covertly get anyone or everyone in a super deep, extremely responsive state.
I used to think that, which is why I said it took me about 2 years to figure it out. And then I found out you can. As a matter of fact,
we're going to put that to the test, guys. We're going to go to the mall. I'm going to point to a random person, and Marcel has to hypnotize them deep to be very suggestible without mentioning that he's going to hypnotize them.
I'm happy to do it.
Hashtag epic fail. Guaranteed.
Want to bet?
Oh, yeah.
How much?
I'll know how to pick the right people that you won't be able to.
Want to bet?
Hashtag epic fail. Yeah.
No, but for real, I'll tell you why. It's not about, I realize what hypnosis is. It's not about being able to find the right subject. It's about how good I can be at controlling the frame or the perception of that context. So if I go up to someone and I go, hey, let me hypnotize you, it'll raise a red flag and alarm immediately. Now, if I don't say anything about hypnosis, but I say, hey, if I see someone's wearing like a cross on their shirt, they're into God.
Okay, hold on. Do it to me. Go.
I'm telling you the context and then I'll do it.
No, do it. Hypnotize me. Go. You said everyone. I'm everyone. Go.
Yeah, I mean, but is this covert? It's not covert anymore.
Fine, do it over it.
Close your eyes.
Okay.
Okay, sleep. Fantastic. You don't follow instructions, but that's not the point.
Hashtag epic fail.
Yeah. So in the context of, hey, you want to be hypnotized, someone might say no.
Yeah.
But if I see someone has, like I said, a cross on their shirt, or they're wearing a necklace, and I see they're religious, or they're, whatever it might be, right? Whether I'm going to approach it from a frame of, hey, let me entertain you, or let me ask you for instructions, or if I see someone seems like they're alone, maybe some help, like, hey, I left my contacts at home, can you help me see the time? Like, what time is this? And then from that moment, once I have their focus, and they're done being distracted, they're not walking somewhere else, they're focused, I can put them in trance.
Yeah, focus is obviously a giant part of it. I think we might disagree on our definition of trance. Are you claiming that you can go up to anyone and put them into a state where you can now get results out of them immediately?
Define results. Like, can I put someone in a state where I can produce amnesia? And
no, amnesia is easy. Can you put everyone covertly in a state where you can get them to run around the mall like a chimpanzee?
I don't know if I could get them to run around the mall like a chimpanzee, but I definitely could go up to someone and make them forget they ever gave me their keys, their wallet, their social.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never tried to make someone a chimpanzee because I've always done it subtly. Like, I've never made it an over.
So that's where we're disagreeing. It's the big results, like because amnesia, catalepsy, that stuff you could do even in waking state. So if you get their focus.
But covertly, without their awareness.
Yeah, that's fine. Fine. I'm just saying that requires less of a state than say on a full-on hallucination.
All right. To the average person, it might sound crazy that you could literally walk up to a random person, take their phone, their wallet, their keys, get their social security number, get them to walk up to a bank account, deposit and withdraw all their stuff. I mean, it happens in Southeast Asia, Pakistan, all these things all the time. There's these hypno thieves. Mm-hmm. But I guess let's define what we would say is the line. Like, what would you say the line of okay, what
the ethical line or the line of what I can do?
The ethical line is obviously
don't do
clear.
any of it.
Yeah, it's
don't
clear.
do none of that.
Yeah, but the line of what's possible is what I'd like to define here.
Okay.
Because a lot of people think it's not, because they listen to people who claim to be good and they're not really any good.
Okay, so I think it's this. I'm making this up as I go along because I'm thinking about it right now. I think for me it's anything you can conceive happening if you're intoxicated, we can cause. So how sometimes you drink a little bit. I mean, you don't know because you're not a drinker. I'm not much of a drinker either. But somebody, wakes up with a bit of a hangover, they're drunk. They have no idea where they put their keys. They have no memory of it. They don't know where they put their wallet. They can't find it. They don't know where their phone is. Amnesia is a simple. The memory is such a flawed thing that causing amnesia is really not that difficult. The mind naturally causes amnesia all the time because it's reorganizing memories and things. And like you said, focus is such an instrumental part of this. So that's something that's very believable. Now, can you be drunk to the point where you actually believe that you are Ed Sheeran? That's starting to sound a little more, and I don't mean act like him, sing his songs. You actually believe. Someone asks you, who are you? And you dead ass think that you are Ed Sheeran. Little harder to believe. So I think, is that a decent benchmark to be like? Yeah,
I guess so for me, the hardest thing at the time, right, when I first saw it, is hypnotist made someone forget their name. I'm like, the first thing someone's given is a name. Like, you're born, you have your name. Like, that's the most social conditioned thing. It's on your license, it's on your passport, it's your very identity, right? So I'd assume wow, to forget your name, it's almost like forgetting your identity. So that to me was the most impressive, and to be able to do that over and over, and then eventually do that and escalate it to forgetting points in time as if it never existed. Like, to forget every memory you've ever had with an individual. Like, I've hypnotized people I've been with, like friends and things like that, just to test the waters. To forget that they ever knew who I was. Like, I forget I ever existed. And that to me was like, your brain has now literally deleted every memory you've ever been with, hours, months off of the time you've had with me, and filled it in with other things as if this never happened. And that was to me unbelievable. But to create
your mind does that all the time.
No, I know this now. But at the time, that was unbelievable.
You don't even need hypnosis for that.
But this is where I lead into what you're saying. To change an identity and now form completely false memories with God knows who, based on very little information that you know about that person, just an idea of who Ed Sheeran is and whatever. Now, I think that's pretty difficult because there's a lot more your brain has to do to get into that and believe that.
Yeah.
And I think the limit is not necessarily that you can't make it happen. It's someone's cognitive capability to construct that much data and form a new identity.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and if you mix in things like more confidence, you give clear instructions of what this person does, you give them an idea to kind of go off of, because some people just can't see it, they can't formulate the idea,
Sure.
they've never had a model for it,
Sure.
then I think it's more possible. So I also think it's not impossible, there's just certain suggestions and things you might have to add in there to make that happen.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, shifting gears from this, you know, I think a major thing people want to know, at least I always wanted to know, is, you know, when you're looking at someone, how do I know who they are, right? Oftentimes you see someone date someone like, oh, this one's different, she looks different, but they have the same pattern, same behavior, but somehow you're like, but this person came from even different country, but, you know, different values, a different religion, and yet somehow they're the same.
Same as what?
Same as previous people you've gone out with, same as previous business partners. You know, one's younger, one's older, one looks different, one's blonde, one's brunette, one comes, you know, from this cultural background and religion, one comes from this one. One is the parents divorced, one isn't, one is close to her dad, one's not close to her dad. You know, and then yet you find the patterns are the same, and even if you change your patterns, there's something inside of you that keeps attracting or eliciting these sides of, you know, behaviors from people. How can you, one, identify how someone else is, but also understand what you're doing to cause that? How would you recommend?
So, listen, this is a really elaborate question. So first of all, what draws us to people, whether it's in business, whether it's in love, there's 1,000 things happening in your mind subconsciously that are analyzing someone, breaking someone down. And the first thing I would say is this. Women are so much better at this than we are. Women have a superpower because, so the science of it is that their corpus callosum, which is the white matter that connects the two parts of the brain, is a lot more developed.
There's a lot more myelination there.
Yeah, so a lot more going back and forth between left brain and right brain, so they could toggle between emotion and logic a lot better than we can. See, men are very, like, we compartmentalize. So when we are in work mode, we don't really want to be bothered with anything else. Like, we're in that mode. And then when we're in, you know, with our friends, that's what we want to do. And we're with our loved ones, that's what we want to do. Women can toggle between these things very easily. It also makes them better at multitasking, doing multiple things at the same time. It widens their focus. We're better at single tasks. There's studies that show that when household chores are divided between the man and the man will typically do more specific things. That's a one-time thing, like fix this, paint that, and then it's done. Whereas women do things that are more repeatable, that you'll have to do again soon enough. They can also spread themselves a lot thinner and do a lot more things, multitask, widen their focus. They're so much better at it. Because as we evolved, we were hunters, we needed that dead focus, whereas women had to take care of the baby, prepare the meal, do this, do that. So they had to develop that sort of multitask and intuition, because they took care of the baby and they had to know what this baby wants without being told. So one of the things I love to do, whether it's with a new business partner, someone I'm going to work with, a new relationship, introduce them to important females in your life and get their opinion. Even if it's just on a, you know, sort of first impression or just their gut shot.
Like, well, hey, what do you think about this person, right?
Yeah, because women have the capacity to see through that mask way better than we do. We get very distracted by, you know, like, let's say you're talking to this business partner and he's promising you big things. That filter will really influence the way you see the person. So I can't recommend enough getting opinions of other people, especially women that I trust in my life. That's huge. Second, as you learn behavior analysis, which is something that I love and I'm obsessed with, you start to see the signs of feigned emotion, or not just emotion, but deception. And somebody says something, they promise you something, but you see something in their body language. Maybe as they're saying that, they slow blink, they close their eyes, describing something, they're trying to block that image. That's low confidence. And as they're saying that, maybe they purse their lips a little. You see this kind of thing as their nostrils flare and their eyes close for a second as they turn their head away, and maybe they come up and scratch their face as they're talking about this contract. Well, there's a lot to question there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So with behavior analysis, we learn how to see past that mask to what's really going on. Somebody tells you that they're excited to go on this date with you, and they smile as they say that, but you don't see the crow's feet on the sides of the eyes. In other words, they're smiling only with their lips. Do you understand crow's feet?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was going to actually comment on that in a second after, you know.
Yeah, so when we see that, then you see inconsistency of emotion. that helps you see past the mask as well.
Also, not to get confused, for those of you listening, if you see crow's feet by the eyes and someone's not even smiling, well, that means they smile a lot. But the question is, does a really happy person need to smile a lot? I don't think so. I think someone who wants to be seen as a happy person smiles a lot. And I found people who have crow's feet by the side of their eyes all the time, like it's there even if they're not smiling, shows me that they genuinely are actually masking insane amounts of unhappiness. And another thing you could look at,
either that or they wear glasses that they don't wear often because they're used to squinting, and squinting will cause that as well.
If they're smiling often, and that's the pattern. Obviously, there's context. Another one would be, where are their lips pointed? Like, for example, is someone's lips pointed up or down, just in general?
Corner of the mouth.
Yeah, and if the lines just kind of go further, they tend to frown more often, right?
Yep.
Or, lines here, show me someone gets angry.
Musculature here versus here.
Yeah.
People who seek approval and connection will have more lines at the top of their forehead because they raise their eyebrows, and that creates lines up here. This is a universal thing that we do when we're seeking approval and connection. People are more skeptical. Whether you're angry or skeptical and you think a lot, you furrow your eyebrows a lot, so you're going to see a lot more musculature and lines here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I think, also disgust. You can see if someone uses their sense of smell often. Like, I'm really sensitive to smell. So for me, you can actually see the lines by my nose because I get disgusted quite often.
Or if one side is more developed than the other, then we're looking at a contemptuous person.
Yeah, someone who has one. Yeah, and obviously, for those of you who are listening, micro-expressions will help you understand these things.
Yeah, Paul Ekman's work is something I recommend a lot. I bet you do as well. Paul Ekman is the king of micro-expressions and universal emotions as well.
Yeah, he invented it.
Pretty much.
So let me ask you this, right? I meet someone, and at first they seem great. They're nice, as most people seem. And I get excited. I want to move things forward. I'm thinking about a really bright future. And how do I make sure that what I see in the future aligns with this person?
Well, you see, so whether they will stay consistent or because you can't know if they're going to change. You don't know what the future
No, of course. But how do I know if this is really them?
Okay, so master tip here, pay attention. How honest and truthful to yourself are you when you're meeting this person?
That makes sense.
Because something that we do very often is we put our best foot forward. I am a huge advocate for the polar opposite of that. Put your worst foot forward. When you're really confident, you can do that, right?
Yeah.
When you have real confidence, you can start up. Because what happens is, a lot of guys out there, a lot of girls as well, but this is something I see a lot in guys, they meet a girl and they're on their best behavior in the beginning because they want to impress her.
Yep.
But that's not who you are. And what's going to happen is eventually she's going to notice that you were being full of shit. So she's going to start maybe putting in less effort.
Yep.
Because here's the thing. You might be looking at that. The guy might be looking at that and going, oh no, she's changed. No. She's putting in less effort because she's seeing that what you presented was false.
Yep.
And she's just mirroring that.
I always tell my friends, I show less of what I am than what I am.
Yeah.
Because I actually want to see if someone likes me for less. Then they'll like me for more.
And sorry if I'm sounding like sexist here, by the way. I'm sure a lot of women do this as well. But I've really seen it a lot in a lot of my guy friends where I see this effort in the beginning, I'm going to go get flowers, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take her on this nice date. Yeah, but are you doing that 2 years into the relationship? Because if you're not, then you changed. And she might just be mirroring that change and saying, okay, well, if this is the kind of guy he is, then I will give myself fully to this. But as it evolves, then you put in less effort. She goes, well, I'm not willing to give myself fully to this. So the first question I would ask myself, if I see change in someone, is, did I change? Mm-hmm. And going back to putting your worst foot forward, I'm such an advocate of this. In the beginning of my relationship, and it's hilarious because my girlfriend remembers this, she would ask me things like, oh, can we go do such and such activity? And a lot of guys would be like, yeah, sure, we could do that, even if they don't want to do it, because they want to impress her at first. And I was like, no, we're not going to do that, because I feel that integrity is so important. And if I, right in the beginning, am talking like, oh, I love that activity, then she doesn't have all the information to make an informed decision as to whether or not I'm right for her. And you owe that to the people in your lives, to have that integrity and come with honesty and have them make an informed decision, because otherwise you're going to start with this illusion of who you are. You're wearing a mask, and you're going to get uncomfortable with that couple of months, couple of years into the relationship. And as you try to take it off, because that's not sustainable, because then you're walking on eggshells.
Well, then you're feeling not good enough. Then and I think that's a major problem, because I actually have the inverse problem. Right, so I actually put my worst foot forward, and as I start to see that this person's consistent, which is what it seems like at the beginning, I start to give more of myself. And because they gave so much at the beginning, they start to pull back. So I'm actually getting, ironically, punished for giving myself. So it makes me not want to ever express myself completely. And the second thing is, I notice there's a pattern. Most women I date tell me, oh, I feel like I'm not good enough for you. I'm not this, I'm not that. And I realize it's because I keep getting duped for their best foot forward. Now, occasionally I'll meet women who are the opposite. Or friends even that are the opposite. Or someone who seems like they're less valuable than they are. Especially, like you look at the wealthiest clients I've ever had. They put their worst foot forward, and then you find out how incredible this person is. Or
that's called humility.
Yeah, but in general, you'll see them dressed in like ripped shit that's like 5 years old, and I'm like, that's so funny, But I never look at the person who's flashing the brands. I'm looking at the person who's themselves. I'm not looking at the girl who put on the makeup and all that. I'm looking at the girl who's just kind of got her hair in a bun and.
You heard it here first, ladies. If you're looking to impress Marcel, keep it real.
Yeah,
keeping it real.
I cannot stand. And here's the truth, I cannot stand anyone who's fake. As a matter of fact, anyone that's fake, I'll give you like a metaphor for this. If someone has darkness and they want to hide it, I will shine the light on it. So don't hide it, right? Bring it, show it, be real. Because as long as I see the truth, I have no problem. It's when I feel played or deceived that I get upset.
Yeah.
Because it's like buying something that you didn't, I buy a Ferrari shell, but you're getting a Honda on the inside. Now that sounds really blunt and not nice, but be real. If you haven't developed yourself to that level, you need to, right? And it doesn't mean you can't, but for as long as you're gonna hide that that's you.
Yeah, but Marcel, what do you expect in today's society where everything is filters on social media and everything is fakeness?
I never use filters. I never edit anything.
I get you don't, but we're living in a world where we see an Instagram post that's this nice luxurious thing, but the moment you zoom out, you see chaos.
Oh, 100%.
And this is what's encouraged, and I hate that. And it's so funny how both of us, and I didn't know that until this moment, have a very low threshold for fakeness and deception. It's funny, my profession is a mentalist. I get on stage and I lie to people for an hour and a half. But I'm honest about that on stage, and I tell them, guys, this is an illusion. And off stage, I cannot stand deception. Even the slightest white lie will trigger me. I hate it, which is, I guess, why I learned behavior analysis.
I think that's why I learned it too. I can't stand it, especially because at the beginning, right? If you go on my Instagram, you'll see most of it just videos of me teaching specific concepts. But I have people who travel with me, who I bring with me, and their entire Instagram is all the places I've taken them to, or my cars, or my house, right? And they're posting all this stuff that is not theirs. And I'm like, why are you selling something that is not you?
Unbelievable.
Because now you're like, well, I want to get more girls. I'm like, but you're not going to get more, because the second they see it's not you, they're not going to be happy. I have a friend, and she's a girl. She photoshops every image, and like it doesn't even look like her. I'm like, dude, I can't stand your Instagram. She's like, why don't you follow me? I'm like, because it's not you. I don't need to follow someone that doesn't exist.
Some ghost.
Yeah, that's not you.
Yeah.
If you follow me on Instagram, I don't check. I probably have mistakes on my captions. I don't really care. If anything, I pick the ugliest thumbnail to catch people's attention. Some random thing. I don't care to look perfect. Can I? Of course I can.
Yeah.
If I were to show off my materialistic things, which to me mean nothing, I do I bought an Aston Martin, I bought a certain Mercedes, I bought a McLaren. These are cars that I bought because I enjoy driving them. Now, if I cared about showing off, there's a specific Ferrari or Lamborghini I would have bought instead, but I actually think they drive like shit. And I don't want to drive them. I don't enjoy them. I buy cars that, and look, by any means, not where I live is also like, I live in a crazy house and all this other stuff, but I'm not going around like, wow, look at my house.
Look at my house.
Yeah. Where all these people wake up, they're like, look at my superficial thing, look at the other superficial thing, look at this. No. I don't care. I don't want to attract them.
Do you think it has something to do with the fact that we both, well, at least up until a certain age, we both were raised and grew up around money? Do you think that sort of desensitized us?
No. I'll tell you what I think it is. I think it's that as in our niche, specifically in our industry, we have to become comfortable with rejection. And we got so comfortable with people saying no to us or not liking us or not agreeing with us.
People don't like me? There's people out there who don't like me?
You know what I mean?
No. This is news to me. So who's talking? Is it Nima? Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
What do you say about me?
Fuck that guy.
What the fuck to say about me?
Yeah.
What
I just think it's that you don't care. The insecurity is like, you don't care about, okay, you don't like me. Oh well, it's not inside of us anymore, right? I always say, like, if it's not inside of you, if you don't believe you're not good enough, if you don't believe you're ugly, if you don't believe that when other people say it, It's noise.
Yeah, wolves don't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep.
But you have to believe you're a wolf. If a sheep thinks you're a sheep, but you're a wolf, and you believe you're a sheep, well, you're gonna be upset.
I saw this thing recently where they wanted to do a test to see if greyhounds can outrun jaguars, like the racing greyhounds, if by some dumb luck, somehow, if they're motivated enough, can outrun a jaguar. So they took a jaguar and they put it on a track with the greyhounds. And the doors open and everyone's supposed to run. All the greyhounds went running and the jaguar was just chilling there. Zero interest in moving. And I don't know if this is scientifically proven, but there's a cute little metaphor there to where the jaguar didn't feel the need to prove that.
Yeah.
He runs to hunt. He doesn't need to outrun a stupid dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he doesn't care to do that. And I think I think real power is not having to say you have power. Imply it. And if people don't get it, it doesn't matter. You are comfortable with who you are. And I think there's such great, like, for example, last night you went to dinner with a very popular influencer.
Yeah.
And you said to me, hey, I'm going out to dinner with this guy. And this isn't to brag. I'm just saying, I think we live in a society where most people would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to that, get pictures with this guy, tag myself. Yeah. Even as an entertainer, I'm sure I could have gone, schmoozed, done some magic, had you film it, tag, look at me with this guy with millions of followers, how amazing I am because I'm doing magic. But for me, it was like, I'm tired. I'm sure he's a great guy. I look forward to meeting him on a day where I'm not tired. But I don't feel the need to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot.
And I also, to add to that, when I presented it to you, I didn't even present it as, oh, look, he's an influencer, a really cool guy.
No.
And I told you his name and you just happened to know who he was. And then afterwards, while I was at the dinner, you're like, oh, I actually am going to go out to dinner as well with another very, very successful, famous individual.
Yeah.
And then I end up FaceTiming you, you're with them, I'm with this person. And you're like, I'll meet you at the house after dinner.
And no part of it is like, I'm going to go do this for clout. It's like, oh, Marcel, coincidentally, a buddy of mine happens to be in the area. I'm going to go hang out with him. So it turns out you're hanging out with a very successful person. I am as well. And I think when you're successful, this is the kind of thing you attract in your life. But again, no part of it is me going, and maybe this is terrible advice. I don't know, because I could see how going after those opportunities to grow your brand makes sense. So maybe don't listen to me on this. I think I'm really, really bad at being an influencer. I don't think I'm an influencer. I just think I'm someone who happened to get a certain following within a certain niche. But niche.
I use niche.
Some people say niche.
Yeah, whatever.
Niche. Je suis français. So niche. And I think there was a time in my life where it was like every opportunity that presents itself, I'm going to go after it like a bloodhound. And at some point I was like, no, I'm done trying to prove anything to anyone. And maybe I've shot myself in the foot and I could have had a bigger career than I did had I done that. But I sleep sound at night and I'm comfortable.
I think there's a balance, right? The second you decide to post someone else and you're bragging about it, where does it put you? It puts you below them, not just to your following, but to them, right? Rather than just like, I don't have to say who I'm friends with. I'm just friends with them, right? When I invite my friends over to a party and then all these people show up to my party, why do they want to show up to my party? Well, they want to show up because they don't feel like I'm a fan. They feel like I'm a friend.
Sure.
And I don't, what benefit does it really give me to say, hey, look at who I'm hanging out with? As if I'm missing value inside of myself that some external thing, person, material, is going to do it. Now, if I'm proud and I want to excite people, because at the same time I want people to see the dream, and I'm like, hey, look, you can do it. So there's a balance, and I think that's where the balance comes in. Hey, look, you can do this, but you don't need. I think where it comes from is the differentiator. What is the intention behind the post? Is the intention behind the post to get validation from the influencer, from whatever, from the car, from the house, from the money, or is it to just inspire? A lot of times I post Instagram stories because I like to go on my phone every day, every morning, and see where I was a year ago, see where I was 2 years ago. Like there's actually shows my memories, on Snapchat and Instagram. I literally says, look at where you were 10 years ago on Facebook, look where you were 3 years ago on Instagram. I'm like, wow. I remember my thoughts in that exact video. I remember where I thought I would be. I never thought I would even reach this level, not in this timeline.
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that no amount of friends, money, or external things will give you value if you don't feel that internally. I think value comes 100% internally.
I mean, if you look yesterday, right, we're at the mall, and look, you're not wearing anything crazy right now. When you go on stage, you are. But we're at the mall, and you just dropped a few $1,000s on shoes and didn't think twice about it, right? It's not like you don't even care. You're just like, yeah, whatever,
Yeah, but 0% of that was me going, oh, I'm gonna get pictures of this on Instagram.
Well, no one is even gonna know. I just said it now, so people know. But the whole point is
Yeah, but it's because I like the shoes.
Yeah. And one of my other friends was like, hey, Marcel, you should go, you're making all this money. You should buy a $200,000, $300,000 watch. Yesterday he was telling me this. And I said, I have to think about it because I don't care. I got this watch because it has sentimental value to me. I bought two at the same time. And the reason I bought this specific watch is because in 2009, when my parents lost everything, my dad pawned this watch to get money to help pay the bills.
That exact one?
Actually, an all gold one. So,
but that brand.
Yeah, but you can't find it anywhere. No one's selling it. So I was looking at the time. It was a Rolex, so he pawned it. So I ended up getting him and me a watch because I wanted to get two all gold ones, but I couldn't find them. So I ended up getting two of them of this watch. Now, could I have gotten another watch or whatever? No, but I wanted to kind of show him, hey, look, although we've been through the hard times, like, hey, now
we made it out.
Yeah, we made it out, and to me, it's sentimental. So I wear it because it reminds me, hey, what I'm doing is for my family. It's for people I care about. It's not like, oh, look at the bling. And then if I look at these two, this was a gift, and this was a gift that's sentimental. I mean, if you look at it closely, it's not even good condition anymore. It's not like a Cartier or anything. But I got it my 20th birthday. There's a pyramid at number 24, and I said by the time I'm 24, I'm at the top. Like, I'm going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest coach in the world by the time I'm 24. I'm 23. So I have another year and a few months to get to that point. And that's why I wear this every morning. That's why I wear this every day, because it reminds me of these things. I don't need to be flashy with jewelry. I just wear this because I like it. I had this since I'm 6th grade, and 2 necklaces have broken since then. This is the 3rd one. Hopefully each lasts about 5-6 years until something breaks. But that's why I'm wearing it. So when I go out and I wear my things, I wear them because they're sentimental to me.
Sure.
A lot of people wear them because it's like, hey, look at me.
Yeah.
I don't care if people look at me. I mean, it's cool,
It's cool. It's a good bonus.
Yeah,
it's nice. It's nice to wear nice things. You feel good about yourself.
It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good. Like, don't get me wrong. I do like attention. I do like when people look at me, but I don't need it.
Yeah. Listen, we could sit here and talk all day about how we don't need the attention. We chose what we do because we like the spotlight. We like the attention. So everything I'm saying right now comes with a grain of salt. Within the realm of people who desperately want attention to survive, I think I'm near the bottom.
It's not. I'll tell you where the differentiating factor is so people can really understand it. It's not that I don't want attention. It's that why do I want the attention? Right. I don't want the attention because I need validation.
Right.
If anything, I want the attention because I feel good getting the attention because then I use the attention to help others. Right? So to me, it's like, can I use this to make a difference? And so maybe it is selfish in that way. Like, I'm getting that emotion.
No, I think it's noble.
Yeah.
And I think there's been a shift for me as well because I used to do magic to get people to like me. And now it's, I will share with you my magic and mentalism because I like you. And it's the greatest gift I can give someone. It's the best thing I know.
And you're pretty introverted. You don't necessarily...
No, I'm not introverted. I'm very extroverted. I'm just antisocial.
Well, what I mean is, it's not that easy to get in touch with you. Like, it's actually difficult.
Oh, yeah.
It's super hard.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I've tried to get in touch with you 3 times before I got introduced by a mutual friend. And I'm just curious as to what was it about because first time we spoke for almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
What was it about just the conversation? Because people, you're not an idiot.
That's a really good question.
What made you want to even talk to me?
So I'm gonna use the word fan right now to qualify you, although I don't think you're a fan. I think you're an equal, but in that moment in my head you were.
Yeah, because I was.
Yeah. In my entire career, from day one, I could count on the fingers of one hand how many fans have become friends. Mm. In other words, somebody that I didn't know but who knew me. And when I say I didn't know you, I'm sure that in the jumble of things that I'd seen your content, and I think you come off very nice. I didn't know you by name. I wasn't sure who you were at that first moment where we were introduced by Chase.
Yeah.
So in my entire career, I can count on the fingers of one hand the number of people who went from fan, in other words, someone I didn't know and who knew me, that I today consider a close friend. Mm. Off the top of my head, 1, 2, 3, literally 4 people are coming to mind. And of the 4, you are the one that was the least sort of like, oh my God, Spidey. 2 of them were literally like, oh my God, Spidey, I'm such a huge fan. And they are today really close friends. Mm. They were like starstruck when they saw me. I'm not saying to show off, I'm just saying to show you how they went from starstruck to someone I consider a friend. Mm. All 4 of those people, yourself included, had one thing in common, 2 things in common: enormous respect and 0 entitlement. The number one thing I have zero patience for, and I will block you for life, is if you write to me in a personal message and you have that sense of entitlement, like I owe you my time or I owe you anything, like I owe you friendship. Mm-hmm. If a message that from someone I've never met starts with, hey bro, I'm not even gonna read the rest. Because if I'm gonna write to you and I don't know you, I'm gonna say, hey Marcel, hey Mr. Klein, hey whatever, something. Probably just hey Marcel or hey Mr. Klein, depending on the age. Mm. And then it's gonna be, my name is Spidey, I'm a fan of your work. I was wondering if you had a minute. There's gonna be respect, because that's the way I was raised. Mm. I cannot stand entitled messages like, yo bro, can you share my video? Like what? You're writing to me, you are assuming that I owe you my time. Not only the time to read this, but the time to promote your work. That's what you want from me? My number one question when I need someone is not how can you help me? It's how can I help you? Like, like right now, you asked me to this podcast, I'm so honored to be here. And if this can even help you a little bit in any way, and I'm not presuming that it can, but if it can, I'd be delighted to know that. Way more than anything I can gain from you. Mm-hmm. How long have we been friends now? A year?
A year.
How many times have I asked you? You have one of the best networks in the world for marketing. How many times have I tried to take advantage of that?
How many times have I tried to give it to you?
You've tried to hand it to me,
yeah.
And I was like, I'm good. I'll figure it out. And if I have questions, I'll let you know. But how many times have I come to you and be like, yo, bro, you're going to help me out, right? We're going to set this. Sure, I can't stand that. I hate that. I'm so sensitive to that. And I feel like if we all just respect each other, and that's the reason. Right in the beginning, I can sense that you appreciate my work, but there was 0% condescension or entitlement. And I respect that enormously. You make more money than I do. You have the right to talk down to me. I'm not the right.
I disagree with that.
Right. So you don't have the right. A lot of people would in your position talk down to me. Like a lot of people would say like, yo bro, like I'm younger than you, but I'm more successful. What's wrong? Like, let me help you, or let's hook up and then teach me hypnosis. Yeah, a lot of people would try that. Teach me, your real hypnosis secrets and I'll set up a marketing thing. You never tried any of that arrogant shit on me. And if you had, I promise you we wouldn't be here today.
And also no one really knows what I make unless you follow me and or you're around me for a little bit and then you go to the mall with me one time, and you're like, huh.
Yeah.
This guy's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bit of you sort of showing that on social media, but I also believe in your case, it's important to do that because the people you're trying to coach and teach, you want them to a certain degree to be like, look, I've done this and I can show you how as well. Because I really can't stand when you have these people who are going to teach you success,
and aren't
but they don't even have it. So what are you gonna? What the hell can you teach?
Well, transition. I used to teach people how to be confident. I'm like, look, and I have videos like this. If you're broke and you want to make a little bit more money, let me know. And then when I changed and I started to make more, I'm like, look, if you're making money, you want to make a lot more money, let me know. And it would change. And then it's now kind of expanded beyond just that. And a lot of my clients make. I'll give you an example. I had a client who made like hundreds of millions in 6 months. His girlfriend broke up with him, left him for a billionaire, and then he just says, focus, doubled down, and got into crypto and. He's a genius, and he made hundreds of millions of dollars in like 6 months. And to celebrate part of it, he went to Las Vegas, like, hey, come to Vegas with me. So I went to Vegas. 10 minutes in front of me, he goes on a blackjack table and just blows $1.4 million in front of my face, like it was toilet paper, lost it. He literally set a budget. He's like, I'm gonna blow $3 million this weekend, right? Just like that. And I'm like, huh, nice. And I'm looking at it, and I was not awed by the amount. I've seen that amount. I've seen more than that in cash. I was awed by
how much he didn't care?
In the time that he blew it, he made more.
Right.
And I was just like, okay, so it's not a matter of how much, it's a matter of how indifferent you are to making it, how indifferent you are to having it.
I'm not going to pretend that I'm in any position in my life where losing $3 million wouldn't mortify me probably to death. But, we all have our own, we all have our own priorities, and that's such an admirable story. What were we talking about?
Well, it's just I'm saying there's another level. There's always levels to it. So to say that someone should talk down to someone else because how much they've made, I never look at it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anyone's better than anyone. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I think if anything, if you look at skill, am I the best, which means that I'm better than others? In that regard, yeah, I'm the fucking best. Do I think that I'm the best in personal development, in coaching someone because I'm just the best? No. Michael Jordan, was he just the best? He didn't even make his high school basketball team. He wasn't good enough then, right? But then he worked his ass off and he became the GOAT, right? So it's not an accident. You don't just become good. You don't just become great. You don't just become the best. You work your way into being the best. You know, Michael Jordan at 23 was the best at 23. So to say that someone can't be the best and I'm 23 at 23 or at 21 or at 30 or at any age it's ridiculous, right? Especially when we're talking about the mind. The mind doesn't age the same way the body does, right? So Michael Jordan had to retire by the time he's, 37, 38, because his body just reached the capacity of what he could do.
Sure.
But you're 36. You're probably sharper now than you've ever been. You're at the top of your game, right? And I can only imagine where I'll be in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and it's exciting to me. So to bring these people on the journey, to have them listening, whoever's listening to this at this point, I'm excited to have them on the journey. The fact that even 5 people would be privileged. I'm privileged to even, if this helps someone in anywhere, if it's helped them because I brought you on, or they get to know your content, and they better actually go subscribe after this, and I know it'll help them. Then it's worth it. So I think this is a cool part 1, just because I want to keep it under an hour. Are we under an hour? Okay.
Oh, we're not?
Oh wow, that felt crazy.
It felt like 15 minutes.
It actually felt like 15 minutes. I thought we were at 25 minutes or something, but clearly not. So, I think that everyone should go subscribe to your channel. He has 2 channels, by the way. One, I don't know, how many subscribers do you have on one of them?
So the main one is where I if you want to learn magic and mentalism, like tricks.
Yeah.
It's Spidey Hypnosis. That one's at 350,000 subscribers. That's my main one that I've been working on for a couple of years. But recently I branched out and started a new one. It's a bit smaller, it's developing, but I welcome you guys if you guys want to learn about real behavior analysis, how to read people, how to read deception, persuasion, the real psychology stuff. It's called the Behavioral Arts, and Nima is going to go ahead and put a nice little banner at the bottom of this video for you guys. Yeah. Is this audio or video? I guess there's a camera, so it's video.
Yeah, it's audio. Yeah, it's video, but I'm not going to put it on Spotify for now or anything. So
okay, the Behavioral Arts, and that's where we're learning real psychology that can benefit your life.
It's actually my favorite channel about behavioral, just in general, body language. And the reason is I know I have a lot of friends in this industry. None of them are as, I don't know, I feel bored on some of the videos. Oh. This one doesn't bore me. This one's like, okay, I'm watching, I'm ready. So
maybe it's my experience as an entertainer.
I love the way you think. You know what I mean? Like the way you think on it. It's like I can watch it and I can be like, that's how I should think about body language. That makes sense. Like I learn, and I think the biggest thing is if someone wants to learn a lot about body language, and I don't mean some BS article. I mean actually learn.
So much misinformation out there.
Yeah. So guys, make sure you subscribe, and if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe as well, and we'll see you in the next one.